The last paragraph of is Gimel. So let's go back to the previous paragraph. So he's explaining the pasuk, the first pasuk of the second parak of Eicha. So he's explaining it all, the Maliyusa. So the pasuk says, the Navi says, how darkened was his anger, Abba, and describing Eden as Bas Tziyon, or daughter of Tziyon. Why Eden called Dafke Bas Tziyon? Again, as Rabbi is explaining, all of the words of the Kina Mepnimius as all milas. The Fish Hashem said Dafke Meir al Tachlis Amayla, because Dafke is the name. Bas Tziyon is the Tachlis Amayla. He wouldn't think so, he goes on to explain. As explaining the Maimori Man Chanukah la Pasuk, don't even Simchi Bas Tziyon, rejoice and be besimcha Bas Tziyon. Shatam, Shekinesis is so mikras b'Pasuk Zeh b'Shem Bas Dafke. Here, it's a Pasuk talking about the Geula. So why here would Yidden be referred to as the lowest name, Bas Dafke? As he explains in the square brackets, of all the descriptions of our connection to Hashem, daughter is the least because it's a makabel. Even though Bas conveys the lower level, the Medrash is in the pasuk in Shir HaShirim, where all kinds of terms of endearment are expressed in an ascending order. So first he says that Moishe to a melech that he didn't move from expressing his endearment actually shikara biti. First he calls it biti, that's the lowest level. He didn't stop there at shikara achaysi, and then my sister imi. So this the three levels. Imi, my mother, which is mashpia. That in the mashpia kabayachal the Eibishter, that's the highest level. And here, why Bas? So l'chayra, how do we explain this in terms of all the Maliyusa Dafke? The answer is because, as explained in the Maimorim of Chanukah, Ki lasid lovi tisala b'chinas Bas, l'mayrim b'chinas Eim. The Mekabel Malchus will be elevated even higher than the level of Eim, the Mashpia. So like with Alderes Eshlam Pasuk, and our Pasuk here, the Eicha Yoiv as Bas Tziyon, how was it explained already, the end of Yoiv, of the cloud, and Apoy. That was explained earlier. Gevura and Yoiv, the Maliyusa. So it concludes with the Bas Tziyon, Shatam, Shniknesis, Son, Ekras, Kan, B'Shem Bas Tziyon, Dafke, here too. When Yidden called Bas Tziyon, it's at the Eloid B'chinas Bas, because of the Mila that will emerge in Dafke, in the Inyan of Bas, that will be revealed there. Goes on to elaborate. So I'm going to explain this pirush with a simple pshat. What pirush? That we mean here the Maila of Bas, higher than even than Imi, and how does it come? Eicha Yoiv Apay. How is the level of Av Kedusha? So there's the darkness of Klippa, and then there's the darkness Kavayochel of Kedusha, higher than Gilui. That's what we're speaking about here, Beprimius. So how is that drawn down? They bid it Av the Klippa, it's Dafka through. That's the Pashat of Pshat in the Pasuk. Is the negative darkness, the cloud, Yoiv Kipshuta. It's in that bitter. You know what happened here? Okay. So it's in that bureau that this level is connected to. Meaning, Sheyod the Bas Tziyon, who's Bas Tziyon? It's the Shamas Yisrael and the Shechina, but here, but particularly the Shamas Yisrael. descended, this labish bekisa of the klippa, to be invested in this thick covering of klippa, ad sheinichilalalis, the words of the Maim of the Tzemach Tzedek, that she can't ascend through the regular avodah, achim kol zeh, the tshuva yuchlalalis. But through tshuva, there can be the aliyah even from this thick darkness, which he said was not only klippas nega, but gimel klippas atmeis. Hainu, because the fishaitei tshuva, which is in a bas Tziyon, l'mata l'mayla malchus, through tshuva nas biru pchinas of the klippas. So this tshuva elevates and transforms the negative of thickness, cloud. So much so, v'yanshas denis nasim kezachias, that the Avedas that were done deliberately become merit v'leida kezachias. These two girsois, not only as if akin to merits, the chaf adimyan, with the chaf that draws only a likeness, but not mamish the same minyan, but like the second girsa, ela gam zachias mamish. It's a higher level of tshuva, both are true, of course. There's a lower level of tshuva that makes them like zachias, as it were, and then there's the higher tshuva, deeper tshuva, that makes them zachias mamish. And that's the avodah of basir. And therefore, it's this level of the birur, of the lowest level of the tachtim, that carries out the deepest intent and kavanah of B'riyas Ha'olam, and hence the atzmi is higher than gilui. A level of alikos of the Eibishter is drawn down. Now addressing the whole pasuk in totality. How was his anger? The darkness of his anger. What's the meaning of apoy? Ki apim beid al gvuras. The ma'ila here is there's a virtuous anger. The person is angry at himself for what he did, and that's part of the process of kedusha, of tshuva. It's a tshuva in the way of gvuras, which is also, aside from the angry component, which needs to be temporary. But then, how does it manifest further, the singing of gvura? Anger, of course, is expression of gvura. Shem bisnatik, he, in Yiddish, as zaktichab, he divests himself, he removes himself, he renounces. Me'atzmo, and Mikolin Yana, of all the things that he was into, he thoroughly rejects. Malamata l'mayda, the singing of gvura, that's tshuva. And he wants to return to Hashem. So this is the remes, the word ba'apai, and this anger, this gvuras, it's part of his process of tshuva. So this is mamshich, the atzmistic, a level of kedusha, and the tachlis hakavan. So the nekuta here is the gvura is stressing it's the lamata l'mayla. He's divesting it, and he's dedicating himself till the klus. Excuse me. Mamshich because of the pasuk continues over here. It's in the same pasuk. Hishlich m'shamayim oretz. He cast down from heaven to earth, Tiferes Yisrael, the glory of Israel. Pirish Rashi explains what Pshat Hishlich, Hishlichem ba'oretz v'bas achas, they were cast down in one moment, v'loi ma'at, and not slowly. In the words of the Gemara, Migir Rama Lebira Mikta, from a high elevation to a deep pit. Drastic and dramatic. As explained in the Tzemach Tzedek Tishimos on Eicha. So what is the inyan in Kedusha? Which he doesn't explain it to Tzemach Tzedek. Here the Rebbe is saying, Yesh levar means gan lemaliyuso. To explain this, and also in Kedusha, Shehishta as a virtue. Shehishta b'shamayim eretz, he threw from heaven to earth. Made alavidas hatshuva. This too is the union of tshuva. In addition to the fact that tshuva loy b'shamayim, tshuva is not a heavenly avodah. Alarak lamata boretz dafke. The avodah is down here, cleansing himself and divesting himself from chumris. So in addition to that, that's one thing. The emphasis being dafke boretz, not in heaven. But now he's going to explain the hishlich, the cast down component. The tshuva, and they say that tshuva is not in this level of tshuva he speaks here. There is a level which is say the vadroga. That's the low level. But the tachlis tshuva is not in the way of order. Ma'at, slowly. Next page 8. But it's cast. It's dramatic. It is radical. That's the word I'm looking for. The Ma'adim Mishtalshalos, the Nefesh Adam, higher than his own Mishtalshalos, within himself, higher even than his Seichel, and his Midas that say go slowly, and so on. Not to say that Seichel and Midas are ignored, but they come out later. It's learned in the previous Maimah, first the Reish Surim, and then Mikvois Hashem. That's not the foundation of the Avodah. And since his avodah is radical and it's intolerable of his matzav, so he is mamshich. Likewise, he goes beyond his own ishtalshalus. So he's mamshich hide in ishtalshalus. So and that's the word. Hishtich mishamayim eretz tiferes Yisrael. The waters he cast down, the beauty of the glory of Israel. Yeah. So he says tiferes Yisrael. You know this is tzaddikim. Beautiful, glorious, that's tzaddikim. Well balanced and beautiful. Like the Yofios in the Mishnah of Tuba'ov. Shehi b'sei devadroge, there avodah take is b'sei devadroge ma'at. One level and a higher level. But this is cast down, cast away. So through the literal meaning, of the terrible descent. The descent of the neshama from Igeram to Biramikna, this is Dafke Megin, but this is Tshuva. So this whole Kavana is Tshuva, Shalamayim, the Meveditz Tzadikim hide in the Avodah Tzadikim, which in the end even Tzadikim have to learn. Shibay from the Ashlocha, this is the way of casting, not in a graded, orderly, progressional manner, but the Mailim Mishtalshalos. Concluding the pasuk, how was his anger in darkness, the avodah of tshuva, gvura, reaching and drawing on the level of the kedusha, hishlich mishamayim ba'aretz, shadina gvura is apa, through the avodah of gvura, which is apa, his anger, which avodah is tshuva, shiba avodah is tshuva, in tshuva. Again, there's other levels of tshuva, lower levels, but this level is the deepest, motivated by this deep. So this elicits casting down, from a level higher than ishtalshalus, right? These are nimsheches, and that draws on, going beyond his own ishtalshalus. He reaches high in ishtalshalus, and that draws on the highest level of eicha yoiv, this atzmistika level, which is higher than giloi, as explained earlier. Sign because of, and the pasuk concludes rather. Yeah, we're good, folks. We're good. Doing tshuva. Oh, are we gonna decide to do tshuva? Think about tshuva. Sign because of, and he didn't remember his footstool on the day of his anger. So Rashi there says that the footstool goes in the base of Migdash. But he gives another pirush here from the Medrash. explaining the footstool, Isa b'medrash, that's again the classic translation. Got a whole different pirish in the medrash. Shuhadam, referring to the blood. Shel bein raglav shel zokein, of between the legs of this elder, namely in the brackets Hamila Davron. This is not Pasha, but the Medrash is saying that Eibishter, as it were, did not remember the merit, the schutz of Avram's Mila didn't protect us, and the Churban came. So now it's Masbe the Inyan now, based on this Medrash, but Pnimi saying Yonim, as the Maliyus. So what's the meaning of Mila? Mila, of course, is Yisoid. Yisoid Zoh, which is the final midah of Zoh, right? Zoh, the 6 middas from Chesed to Zoh, to Yisoid. That's the union of Hadoim Raglov, the blood that he drew between his legs, the Mila. Clear? Shat Medrash. Pirish v'leizach hadoim raglav yesh loymar. The Rebbe is revealing here the pnimius of this Pirish. They didn't remember the union of hadoim raglav yesoid. This avoid of tzaddikim. Shalos idlovoi ti ashpo lemalchos shelo yalideza. That's the union of, again, Bas Tziyon is malchus. And then we have the whole aliyah of malchus, higher even than imi. So the Ashpo will not come through Zoh, not limited to Ishtalshalos. Neshama Yisrael connect to L'mayli Mishtalshalos completely. Even though, in the normal order of things, Malchus is Makabel from Zoh, and that's what must be initially. That was the Avodah Tilna, as it were. But then the Tachlis of it all, that Malchus is Makabel, he didn't remember Hadoim, Dam Raglov, meaning that Malchus is Mekabel higher than so. As you elaborate, we're clear the outline. Now he elaborates. As is known, Sheberish Chodesh, which is a woman's yontif, Rish Chodesh. Right? She doesn't do work. The union of Malchus, of course, that's because the moon, it's the rebirth of the moon. The reason why the moon is in a kudah there is not because of a chsaron really, but because of a maila. Because Malchus is mekabel from Chachma shel lo yal yidei Zoh, not through the regular hashpah, which actually the 15th of month is when it's the sun. Zoh is in full alignment, but here it's being mekabel higher than Zoh. That's why it's in the kudah. We're clear? I'll explain to Rish Chodesh is, a quasi yontif every month and not the 15th of the month. 15th is only Tishrei Nisan and then Tu B'Av for specific reasons there. But that klal, it's not. Because fine, it's Malchus Mekabel from Zoh, which is it's a virtuous day, unquestionably. The alignment of Shemesh and Levana. But here, Rish Chodesh is an Indian because Rish Chodesh is what's Mekabel from Chacham. Haino, elaboration now. Even the Malchus remains Malchus, the Levana remains a Levana. The Malchus doesn't stand unlike Shabbos, like Shabbos. Shabbos is the day we count the Malachas complete descent into a higher plane. That's why we can do Malacha Rish Chodesh. Why? Because Malchus still remains where it is. It's connected to this lofty place. It still remains where it is. It's connected to Ishtalshalos. In square brackets. And the prohibition of Malacha is a minig, but only women. You understand why? Because and minig we understand also the pnimis is higher than an outright tzivoy, because and dafka noshim, which is malchus, they don't do malacha because in noshim is the potential for the tachlis v'aliyah, manifestedly so. Will only come later. It's already present now, therefore even now they don't do malacha. It continues now. So even the Malchus remains b'mkoima. Here on this Chodesh, it's a direct connection to Chachma, which is relatively speaking, the Kudah, which is higher than the Nishtalshalas per se, Shlei Hadiza. In this respect, al Shabbos. In this respect, there's a Ma'ale b'Chodesh over Shabbos. Shedavke b'Chodesh Mashenkim b'Shabbos. It's Davke b'Chodesh and not Shabbos. That ain't a Malchus Tfeila L'Zor. That Malchus is not secondary and a Makabel T'Zor. Why? The Fish Makabeles the Pchines HaChachma, but we'll get from Chachma. But Chodesh nowadays, till Mashiach comes, until Mashiach comes, the Levon is not going to be a luminary. And in a sense, even more than the Shemesh. Still the Makabels. Therefore he says, it's only the Pnimis, which is why the Noshim don't do Malachis, as we just mentioned. When will be the true Aliyah? The Iker Aliyah. It's present now, but the Iker Aliyah will be when it will be Makabel, Hayad in Zoh, when it will be Yeh Losid Lava. And this is the deeper meaning of the Pasuk. He doesn't remember, as it were, Dinyan of Dashpa of Yesoid, the Mil of Avram, because Malchus, the Shamas Yisrael, ascending and connected to a level higher than Ishtalshalas. So what's the connection here again to Bayim Apoy, which means his day of his anger? Because Malchus is connected to Gvura, as is known. Now there's the next few will say Bekitzer. That's going to remain even then. Before explained the Avodas HaTshuva. Now he's talking the consequence. Now he's speaking the consequence of the Aliyah. Because he mentions B'yeh Mapay twice, beginning of the pasuk at the end. The beginning, not Yeh Mapay, the beginning was Yoyev Mapay. Its beginning was the Avodas HaTshuva, which draws on the level of Yoyev. At the end, he describes the Aliyah. So what's Gevurah doing there by the Aliyah already? Gevurah shaykhs to the Avodas HaTshuva, but now he's ascended already. She says no. The beginning of Gevurah still remains out of that. That Malchus, its source is Gevurah, which means the ultimate source of Malchus is the Koyach HaGvul in Atmas Ein Sof, which is deeper than Koyach HaBlikvul. It's a much more Atmis Diki than Blikvul. Tafka because there's no Gilur. And Shinyin Zeh, Yegam Losid Love, that's going to be even Losid Love. Gam Barish Chodesh, Nish Eres HaMalchus Bim Koyma, that we see that Rish Chodesh Malchus remains in his place. What that means is that the Yin of Gvura remains. Now he adds as follows. I'll just say the technicality of it. We'll try and explain it, give some insight. And that is as follows. And it's known with respect to the Kav. The Kav is the Tzimtzum. The Kav comes as a result of Gvura. The Kav is the beginning of the whole Seder Shtalshalos. So how was it explained with Derech Klal? How does the Kav work? That first the Eid Sof filled the whole Malkim HaCholol, the name is made. The Malkim HaCholol, the empty space. The eagle, the great circle that surrounds the empty space, that's the Ein Sof, and the Kav is nimshach through the eagle into the Malkim HaCholol. The way it's understood, picture Pegashmi, which is well, I guess it's a starting point. So a circle, and then a Kav, where does the Kav end? The center, down in the depth of the circle. So you do a shagam lasid lovei shakav yin negeya v'doguf gam be'igol shmitachtisa. Lasid lovei, the kav is going to connect all the way to the circle below it. You follow? Till lasid lovei, the kav just enters the cholol. But the end is, it starts with the Ein Sof and ends with the Ein Sof. Gosh, you draw the picture of the kav. The opposite end of the eagle. What does it mean? What does it mean by Gashmis? What does it mean Yegulim? What does it mean? It means that even in the Tachten, it will be revealed in the gather, in the limits of the Tachten, is revealed there himself. That's what he just said, that even as Malchus remains Bimkoima, fully connected, as Megala, the Emes Ein Sof, the Emes Atmistic Ein Sof. In the words of the Maimer, Kiyadua, this is from Kabbalah, after this Maimer, Ein Beis, Janat. It said inside again. What is this known? That the kav is going to be connected to it itself, even at its lowest level of tzimtzum. That's the b'tachtonim. In the tachten is revealed the yoiv, and yet it still be called a kav. It's not that the Ein Sof floods now the whole Mokim Acholo. It's all nimshich in the kav. Shul kav kotzen, and the kav is described as the short line. That's the word that in the gvul is nizgal the emes and bli gvul. Fusion of gvul and bli gvul. That's tachlis hakavan, which is only mekecha atzmos, which is yoiv. Is that clear? This is saying a fundamental point that we're familiar with. This is dirib tachtoin. The atzmos is nizgal in tachtoin. Yeah. So that's what he's saying. That's his touching the pasuk here. That no longer is Malchus locked into the Mekabel from Zoh, but through Avodas HaTshuva, the whole Avodas HaBerudim, and the whole Avodah, the mitzvahs, the Tachlis HaKavana is realized, and that is Malchus, the Shomesh Yisrael, connect to the union of Yoiv, the Eibishter himself, and where how did the connection happen? The Yoim Apoy, even as the Shomesh Yisrael, in Gufim, the Mata, and the Masa. And not even, it's Dafka here that it happens. Clear? That's the Gevura of Apoy. And that's what he says in Kabbalah, that the Kav, in the end, through Avodah, connects to the eagle, Shemitach Tisai, remaining a Kav and connected to the eagle. Even at its lowest levels of Tacht and the Mata. Yes, we're good. Concluding, okay, the last Isa of the Maimir. Pia Yedua. That, in light of that which is known, Shalimud, called in Shabbatayra Pale Mamshich in Yonah, by learning anything in Torah with Mamshich the Indian. Learning, which is what we say every morning. Through saying and learning it, we affect the to effect that, and we mamshech that which karbonis have to effect. Komramzal, as the Gemara says, Kol Eisa B'Torah. Anyone who is involved in the study of the laws of the Korban Oila, Kilu Hikav, as if he brought it. Commissioner Kosovo, as the pasuk says, the Gemara brings there a shalom before him, and we will pay for him the oxen house was saying with their lips. So by learning about these things, they're saying now in the Yiratzim, Shalimod B'Torah Binyanim Anal, that learning these inyanim Yifal L'Mayer will affect and hasten L'Karav and draw near Ki Minyanim Eilum, the fulfillment of all of that we spoke about in the Maimer, and that was Mamshich in the Maimer. When they'll be fulfilled the promise, that these days be transformed into Sasa and Simcha, but God of Mamash about God done. Amen.